slow on the sidewalk.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Miliana Dewi, and in this opportunity I'm going to talk about some special kinds of languages called Pidgin and Creoles. You may have heard the terms before, perhaps in the context of specific language such as Pidgin, English, or Haitian Creole. But please keep in mind that there is no single Pidgin or Creole. They are referring to the category of language around the world. There are various Pidgin and Creole languages. First, what do they have in common? Pidgin and Creole are new languages that develop when speakers of different language come into contact with each other and have a need to communicate. Okay, many Pidgins and Creole have appeared when the colonial powers came into contact with the locals as they spread across the world. So, what's the difference between Pidgin and Creole? Okay, I will tell you. Pidgin, on the other hand, is a non-native language with no native speakers, whereas Creole has native speakers. As a result, Pidgin language have no native speakers because Pidgin language arises very quickly when there is a need for communication in certain situations, such as like commerce and labor. A Pidgin language is a kind of compromise or which become bridge between two or more different languages. Pidgin typically occur when one group of people is dominant over another, and the less dominant group must learn to communicate with the more dominant group. However, in the absence of a formal education in the dominant group's language, they adopt a kind of simplified language based on the most basic vocabulary and grammar of the dominant group's language, as well as the most basic grammar of their own mother tongue. This was most common in trade, slavery, or colonial context situations. In such case, the dominant group is typically the most powerful colonial power or trading partner. Consider the following situation. English-speaking colonial rulers own a sugar plantation and bring laborers from various countries to work on it. The people speak different language, right? But in order to work together, they must speak the same language. So they will try to learn English, but because they do it quickly, they only learn the basics. The result is a very simple language that uses only basic English vocabulary and very non-English grammar. It's a type of Pidgin language. I'll give a Pidgin example of an activity that may happen around us that we are not aware of, such as hawkers in the Tanah Lot area conversing with foreign tourists in Pidgin English. The basis is English, and the pronunciation is adapted to the Indonesian tongue. For example, very cheap is pronounced in Indonesian as very cheap. 5 is pronounced in Indonesian as pipe. 1000 is pronounced in Indonesian as thousand, and so on. Next, I will talk about Creole. Well, after learning about Pidgin language having no native speakers, because Pidgin language arose out of the need for a lingua franca. But Pidgins will become Creole if they survive and become the next generation of native languages that they are now. Slaves from various countries, for example, work together on plantation but didn't speak the same language. So they create their Pidgin language, which quickly grew to become the language they use for all of their daily activities. Now their children who grew up in that environment will with a Pidgin language that become their mother tongue now will speak Creole language. Okay, Now, I will conclude my discussion of the relationship between language Pidgin and Creole. The Pidgin language was used to bridge language in various groups of people from the beginning, then suddenly appeared without regard for grammar, then gradually developed in all aspects of life, and then passed down to their generation until it became a Creole language, which is the language used by generation. They are the new generation's mother tongue. Bickerton and word thought both mention the same thing but in the different way. They said that when a man and a woman marry and they speak different languages, they become the Pidgin language, which become the common home language, and then it become the mother tongue for their children, which become known as Creole. So, I have so many explanations about the Pidgin and Creole languages that I can give at this meeting. Hopefully it will be useful, and thank you so much. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.